because Culture didn't have a stinger made for this one, which is absolutely fine. But Bob Iger responds to the claim that Disney has a woke agenda.
Oof.
Says companies making too many sequels. So too many sequels is a different thing to address. But I thought we would talk about this whole woke agenda business first, because I think that's interesting. It's quite funny. So this was, I mean, we're now getting videos come out, but obviously this is before that. Before videos were coming out, we were getting some live tweets. So Alex Sherman says, Iger says creators at Disney have lost sight of what their job should be. Number one, entertain first. It's not about messages. And then he followed up, as we always knew he would. He says it got worse when he left as CEO chairman.
That's insane. That's utterly insane.
What? Still throwing Bob Chapek.
I think he believed his own lies at this point.
He must be. The thing is, a lot of the stuff that came out that was so bad was what he agreed to. Yeah. And also, you're full of shit, Bob Iger. We've all seen the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Mate, you were still CEO and chairman then. What are you on about? We've all seen The Rise of Skywalker, mate. Oh my God! So just thoughts. I'll go to you first, Nick. First thoughts on that.
The funny thing is, like I said a minute ago, I think he's starting to believe his own lies. And so another quote that he said in another interview where he's talking about he's not sure another studio will ever achieve some of the numbers that they had achieved, during their peak. Mm-hmm. And he said, I mean, we got to the point where if the film didn't do $1 billion in global box office, we were disappointed. That's an unbelievably high standard, and I think we have to get more realistic. So not only is he believing his own crap about how it started getting worse, but now he seems to start to have acceptance of, all right, well, we're not going to be able to sustain this this high mark, and we have to get more realistic on these low numbers. When he's failing to realize that they could have kept that thing going if they were putting out banger after banger, people would have still went and watched it and seen all their. I mean, the fans want to throw their money at them, but not when they are constantly giving us one piece of shit after another. And that's why I've always said it's like their fingers so far from the pulse of what the real problem is here. They're just taking guesses and just believing their own bullshit.
Especially that whole it got worse when he left as CEO.
Yeah.
Okay, so
now the stock got better.
Yeah, I mean, this is all platitudes anyway. Like, it's never going to change. Yeah, he's like, oh, we should be entertaining first, not about messages, mate. Delete half the stuff on Disney Plus. Then shut up. You're full of absolute shit.
Well, this is the same guy that was earlier. Wasn't earlier this year saying like, "Oh, we need to keep messages in this. That's what it's all about."
He did say that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not only that, isn't this the same guy that said earlier this year, "I'm looking forward to Toy Story 4 and Frozen 3 and Zootopia 2 and whatever, insert your fucking Disney movie sequel here." At that meeting,
that was 2 shareholder meetings ago.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, well, this is the other part of it. I don't want to apologize for making sequels. So it's kind of they've kind of twisted it a little bit here, saying he's made too many sequels. He kind of did, but he kind of didn't. So he says, I think I don't want to apologize for making sequels. Some of them have done extraordinarily well, and they've been good films too. I think there has to be a reason to make it beyond commerce. You have to have a good story, and we have made too many. That doesn't mean we're not going to continue to make them. Now, this is the really important thing, like massively, and I think it sort of vindicates us a little bit in terms of what we've been saying for a while. So he continues, says, I'm not sure another studio will ever achieve some of the numbers that we achieved. What have we always been saying, guys? If it doesn't hit $1 billion, they think it's a failure. I mean, we got to the point where if a film didn't do $1 billion in global box office, we were disappointed.
Let me correct you just a little bit, Nate. We were saying that. They were denying that.
Yep.
Yeah, no. That's what I mean. We've been saying it. We've been saying it all along. Now he's finally admitting what we've been saying all along.
Yep.
That's what I mean.
Sorry, I misheard you then. My bad.
No, it's all right. It gives me another chance to relay the point. We've been saying this for ages. If it doesn't do $1 billion, they will think it's a failure. And everyone was like, no, you're talking bollocks, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. They literally say it right here.
And it's not just Disney, it's everybody in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you're making movies that cost $200 to $300 million, the break-even point, just on pure math, when you go 50% of the box office is what they actually get to take home, you have to make $1 billion to be profitable, because people, especially the media, loves to spin it this way. And Culture knows what I'm talking about. He loves this because this is his whole channel, is how they love to spin this shit when they're not factoring in all the advertising costs, all the reshoots, all the other stuff that goes added into this stuff that they don't report. And what else are we learning lately? They're only reporting the initial budgets. They're not reporting what they actually spend on these movies. And what are we learning? Rise of Sky or The Force Awakens cost $532 million to make.
Wow.
Ant-Man cost how much, Culture Casino, we just learned recently?
Oh, I can't even remember.
300 and some million dollars.
It was just over 300.
And Indiana Jones, tell me again how much we've tallied up so far, and this isn't even the final tally.
There's no doubt that thing will be a 400 million plus picture.
I thought it was reaching 500 at this point, but
that's what I heard.
And then we know the Avatar movies were a fucking fortune too. Now, granted, of those movies I mentioned, The Force Awakens managed to make money. Barely. Avatar managed to make money. Sort of barely. I mean, but they're amortizing those Avatar movies. Sure, people came back for this one, but are they going to come back for 3 and 4 in the next few years?
Probably, to be honest, mate. Now,
I was wrong about the first time, but that was just because of nostalgic reasons. I didn't take into factor that a lot of the kids that when that first movie came out were now adults. I did not take that into factor. But now this next time out, it's not that far out. The thrill is kind of gone.
Well,
I don't remember.
We have something to contrast that to, though, Tom. I mean, look at how you have the return of the film, The Hunger Games, the franchise, The Hunger Games. When they wrote that film, the newest one, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, right? When they wrote that film, they wrote it knowing that their audience grew up, right? But
True.
I still think that Avatar, and I agree with you on Avatar too. I still think they had the same kind of infantile approach to this eco message that they were pushing in that film.
Well, and it did much better overseas than the first one did. Right. So that's what I'm saying. In the U.S., it's had a bit of a downturn.
Yeah. So I look at that and I go, okay, so if you know the audience you're writing for, and if you know that everybody aged up, then that's how you should be writing your sequels, because at a certain age, you're going to go back and say this thing doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But so like I said, I mean,
this deadline article,
this deadline article is literally only taking the quotes from this same Deal Book Summit thing. But it's fascinating to see what we've been saying all along. They would consider anything, not $1 billion, a disappointment, which means a flop. They're not going to consider that a success. So when you call it a flop, success, etc., etc.
Well, to be fair, it depends on how much it underperforms. Like if it, for instance, Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 made 850, it's an underperformer, but it's not a flop at that amount.
Well, no, but a flop in their eyes in terms of they're not patting themselves on the back for it. If it's a disappointment to them,
no, it's a disappointment.
What I mean,
no, but I'm still curious to see if Guardians really made any money. I want to see the final tally on what the actual cost was. We just learned that the first Guardians cost a hell of a lot more than we thought too.
I love that these films, for two reasons. I love that films are being made in the UK because they have such great film professionals and made.
Yeah, but not now, because they're going to give a bigger tax break now. Sure. So that's even worse.
Right. So look, all I know is I'm grateful that Disney is happy that you guys are funding their flops. So well done. But at the same time, your tax money at work, bro. But anyway, the fact that that Disney is going to continue to utilize that means we get to see real insight into the budgets. It might be a year or two delayed, but we'll have what they announce is what they have is a production budget, and then we have an actual budget, and it's amazing because I can guarantee you the Marvels cost at least $100 million more than we know now, which is $274.8 million.
And I would love to see the breakdowns of some of these things just to see, because here's where I'm trying to figure this out. We just saw Godzilla last night. And whether it costs $15 or $30 million, that don't fucking matter. That's peanuts in comparison to what they're spending on one of these Marvel movies. I would like to see the breakdown of what's being spent where. Because I can already imagine that, yes, the actors are getting the bigger lion's share when it comes to like the big actors, but now that they've got the non-known actors in most of these roles, they can't tell me they're spending all the money there. I bet you a majority of the money is going to the fucking executives. All those executive producers that are listed, they're all giving themselves huge fucking paydays. I guarantee you.
They absolutely are. And a lot of it's that, and a lot of it is VFX work. There's two things at play. A lot of it's washing money, greasing hands. Like, oh yeah, you get that, you get this. It was circulating around recently, famous interview with Christopher Lee, and he was saying exactly the same thing, failing upwards, saying it years and years and years ago now. And he was saying exactly the same thing about producers, got no business. They keep making failures. They keep making money from them, and they still in circulation. Same thing. But the other thing is VFX, and the VFX houses in the West are incredibly expensive. Even though they cheap out, they are still incredibly expensive. And that's the States, that's the UK, everything. It's awfully expensive because when you look at tiny budget movies which still have a lot of CGI in, a good one, although slightly touchy subject, Russia's Sputnik, that movie, it's like an alien type movie thing. Really good VFX, really, really, really good VFX. And then there was another one as well where they went underground and there was a giant alien thing, but they got like no budgets, tiniest budgets. And so they just outsource all the VFX to small independent people that will just do it. And so they've got time. They do it on a budget. It's cheaper. A lot of
what else VFX. They probably do that a lot of these studios aren't doing anymore, especially Marvel? Planning their shit out.
Oh, yeah, we know
that's the other thing. Because here it is half of it you can only blame on the studio's part as far as like what they're being paid out, because a lot of these deals are made on the other end. And this is what we hear from the artist's part is they make these stupid deals with the studios. They get underpaid. And Disney likes to use this, well, you're working for us in Marvel, so you get to put that on your resume. So they'll do it and they'll get them for under cost. So that's where these guys are griping that they're not getting any overtime. They're getting overworked. And what they probably do is the people that are handling these projects that are making these deals, they're probably setting it up that all the retakes and redos are on them. Like, to where like, you get what I'm saying, right? To where if they decide, well, we don't want this, we want something different. Well, then it's in the contract that comes out of the share of whatever they paid that studio instead of them having to pay on top of, right? So that's where I'm curious if that's actually where the money's going. But I see what you're saying on the initial cost, but I know these deals are very bad that these brokers are making between the studios and the effects houses, and that's where a lot of these effects guys are going. It just ain't worth it anymore. When they tell me there's a Disney project or a Marvel project, I just tell them to go fuck themselves because I don't even want to deal with that shit anmore.
Well, and then the in-house VFX people just unionized.
Yeah, but that's but this is part of.
And what reason do you think they probably did that?
What they do is very stressful. They're sitting back in the background running the volumes, and
the whole thing's a shit show. It's a broken industry in the West. That's why. But I want to bring it back to the initial statement he made about it's about entertainment first, not about messages. Andre, you've kept awfully quiet here. What do you think of that statement? Because I think it's just platitudes. Nothing's ever going to change. Do you think it's going to change?
Of course, it's complete platitudes. And that he says it got worse. Yeah. If it got worse, it's because he was stirring shit up behind the scenes. That's when he was responsible for the Florida thing and the open riot against Chapek and everything. And but it's really telling that he even feels the need to say it. Oh, it wasn't me. It got worse when I wasn't there. That's when that tells you he's under fire right now, and he knows that this stuff ain't working. And that is why he is so desperately to try to point out Chapek. It was him. It was him all the time. And he even bragged about it before, like, no, we've always had this positive thing. Dude, you're not doing anything positive. I mean, if anything, the messaging that he has put in the movies has made the world a worse place. Like, for instance, LGBTQIAP plus acceptance. There's so many studies now that show that has gone down.
Not drastically, yeah.
It's gone down drastically.
They're making bigots.
Disney are at the forefront of that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just making bigots. Tom, entertainment first, not about the messages, platitudes. What do you reckon? Tom's dead.
I reckon that maybe his dog saw a squirrel outside or something.
Squirrel!
Nick. Go on, Nick.
Say that again.
Do we reckon it's platitudes, the whole entertainment first, not about messages?
Oh, no, it's definitely about messages. It hasn't been about entertainment first since Infinity War, Endgame time frame.
Since they got Fox.
Before then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I stepped away for a second. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I think that as far as like this is the thing that this kind of goes in tandem with the whole sequels thing, right? Like, I've made this point before, so I'll keep it as quick as I can. This is where the creativity goes out the door, is they have forgotten how to make a movie. This is what Scorsese and Tarantino are talking about. This is what they say when we have an entire generation that has been weaned on nothing but Harry Potter, Marvel, Mission Impossible style sequels, to where they don't know how to handle a movie like Taxi Driver. Or they wouldn't even know how to handle a movie like Reservoir Dogs now. Or even Pulp Fiction. They wouldn't know. Why? Because it's not like anything they've seen before, and we're back to a point where we're back to this sanitized, dry, even though as unfamily friendly as it is, I use the term sanitized in the sense of how creativity sense. Like, there's zero creativity. It says, buy the book, buy the numbers as you can get. And I was reminded of this by the Marvels, right? Because you could see they just kind of washed away any of the woke and a lot of the whole storyline and stuff. And all that's left is just the basic plot points. So it's like, okay, you've literally gotten to this point where every movie is and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and I see a movie like Godzilla last night and I'm reminded how good movies are supposed to be. Same thing with The Shift. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard of this movie or not yet, but we got a screener copy from Angel Studios, and I thought it was a great movie. Andre didn't like it as much as I did, but I thought it was great. I don't know if any of you guys otherwise have seen it. But again, here's where you have just a concept, an idea, and you have a great cast, and they sell this idea and this concept. It's not attached to anything. It's a great just multiverse story, but it's all self-contained. It's not built in a Marvel universe or this universe or that universe, right? Like, they forgot how to make movies like Rain Man. They forgot how to make just regular movies. And nowadays, those kind of movies just get tossed to the side and lost.
Yeah, it's like the David Fincher Killer movie on Netflix. That was a film that would have been in theaters 15, 20 years ago. Would have been in a theater, but nope. No, just thrown on.
Sequels used to be like an embarrassing thing for the studios. Go ahead, Culture.
Yeah. No, and actually, Tom, you went exactly where I was going to go. Yeah, there was a period of time that sequels were like, they knew they were just trying to grab another dollar on the same property. Whereas, then they became kind of normal. They became the norm because of, what happened with Star Wars and a few other things.
Well, didn't Nolan just say that? Yeah, Nolan was just saying this the other day.
Yeah.
He was saying how the studios used to be able to make, you got to have both.
Yeah.
You do have to have both.
You have to have,
you have to have, you have to have your Superman 3 to be able to fund 10 other Nolan style projects, basically, is what he was saying.
Yeah. You have to have low down stuff.